Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Susan Wilson. I'm with Informatica. I'm the Group Vice President of the Solutions team. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Maggie Hubble. She is the Vice President of Data and Digital Transformation. Thank you so much, Maggie, for joining us today.
Absolutely.
What metrics and TTIs do you use to demonstrate value to your business stakeholders? And how do you work with those stakeholders to come to an agreement on those metrics for success?
The metrics, that we primarily use we have operational metrics, which is, hey, did the data land? Are we performant? Is the data available? Those are like the table stakes, right? The operations, that's the heartbeat of the nature of the data business. We have a governance component, right? And I'm looking at my cheat sheet from my KPIs that I have, right? So we use Tableau. It doesn't matter the tool, but we use a dashboard that is around completeness. So from a governance perspective, which includes that quality component. So completeness from an account perspective, contact perspective, you name the domain. And we look at that completeness element. We also look at the fitness. And I call it data fitness. And it's kind of a merged accuracy, integrity, merged dimensions into what we call the data fitness component. And it's making sure, does the data make sense? Right? Does the hierarchy make sense from the account to the contact and all of that? So we have a measurement around that. So we have what's called a jumping off point, or our baseline. And we do that every year. We snap that baseline chalk line, and then we measure it month over month. Right. And we can measure it more frequently than that if necessary, but we've got that governance component. And then truly this is where we've seen, I think, the most momentum is around analytics and insights. Right. So that's what we call it internally, is analytics and insights, and it's around our content completeness. And then it's around our dashboard reporting load times, right? Because that makes a huge difference from our user base, right? Our user component. Data reliability. Do we have stale data in the data pipeline? Is it the most recent? Is it the most confident? Right. So we're looking at those elements. So there's a KPI and then there's TTIs beneath it that support that. And we've got usage statistics as well, right? Which I think is, yes, it's an oldie, but it's also a goodie. It is a goodie. It can tell us, it can really show us, like, if the business is requiring something, are they actually following through and using it, right? But it's a tool for us to measure. And then again, recency, or we call it stale. Is the data stale or not? But those are just some highlights. And what I tell my team a lot of times is I don't want pages, right, of KPIs and measurements. And by the way, it's red or green. There's no in between. Right. It's a red or a green. There's no yellow, no orange, no nothing. It's those two components. But those are the things. And when we have created these, we've partnered with the business throughout to say, does this make sense to you? Right? Is this relevant to you? And truth be told, the only two components that they care about is the data or the analytics and insights piece and the governance component. They really don't care so much about, did the data land, how much space are we utilizing and all of that. That's not necessarily something we share. So that's on page 2, right? But our page 1 is in complete agreement and alignment with our business. And we meet with them, just to give context, it's a quarterly review. We measure monthly, but we meet with our business units on a quarterly basis.
Wow. I bet that those sessions, when you meet with them on a quarterly basis, are meaningful, because we're not talking about squishy things and, it's you've got objective, TTIs and metrics that you're reviewing. And that must drive meaningful discussions.
It does. And what it gets at is, say we missed a metric, right? It's allowing ourselves to root cause. And you and I have talked about this much before, is when we root cause data problems, the root cause is typically a business process, whether it's a business process that's broken or something like that. I can't even count if there was a time that is like a technical hiccup. Is more often than not, it is a root cause that is the business process that drove it, whether it's a human interaction issue, like, oh, we just need to do some improved standard work, right? Because this individual did not know that that was a required field. And oh, by the way, you need to put, relevant information in that field. So there's a process there from a people component, or there's an opportunity, right, to take a look from that root cause analysis and say, hey, can we improve this, on the business side, and do we need improved standard work? So again, that's why these conversations are super important, and they become instantly relevant, because again, a couple of whys into why is that red? It's because of a business component, which, by the way, I'm not in the driver's seat there. That's when you look at, the general manager and say, can you help with this? Right? We need to double click on this and perhaps do a workshop, or come together on it.
Right. Oh, that's so relevant. And we also talked about how important that is to also, in these economic times too, those business owners and process owners look at you as a critical part. So there's no way that they want to cut your budget. They want to invest more into your team and your function because of the value and the relevancy that you bring. And so that's key.
That's the hope. That's the hope. You're always, I would say, you're always kind of, fighting for that investment. There's no question. It's never given on a golden platter per se, but enabling that storytelling and narrative to connect very, very quickly to the business drivers and business objectives is incredibly key.
That's key. Another trend that we saw in the survey that we took earlier this year is that we're seeing more data leaders like yourself taking ownership of analytics and AI. And I know you have a great story to tell about this, about it, and that trend and what you believe we'll continue to see. So tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I've been in multiple different companies with variations on this theme, right? Which is being in a data governance, data management role, but not owning sort of the analytics and insights team. But specifically, I think the evolution that I've seen and that I appreciate is owning that entire pipeline, right? From where data lands all the way through delivery, right? And I think that drives that DRI, the directly responsible individual, knowing what team you can come to for all the answers that you need, right? If you're experiencing any data related issues. And I think having that direct responsibility eliminates waste ultimately, but it also drives what I would say business acumen to the individuals that are responsible for the reporting. And also, though, like the data scientists and data engineers who feel like their back office, it actually pulls them closer together to say why it's important that this data is accurate, that this metric is met, right? And it drives that just, I think, holistic acumen across the board, and does give that one throat to choke, which I don't like that as much. But keeping in mind, it's then easier to root cause issues, right? And furthermore, it alleviates some of the frustration that happens a lot, which is we'll fix the data in the lake, we'll fix the data in the warehouse, we'll fix the data. No, I am of it's you got to go to the source, go to the source of the problem, fix it there, and then you're not again driving this extra work of fixing the data consistently, and then you have that explainability, like, oh, I have to explain that I fixed that, and did I fix it the right way, right? And if you're explaining, you're losing. So at the end of the day, it is getting to the source, getting to that root cause. And I think having that entire pipeline in a reporting relationship to a data office is the best that I've seen.
I want to thank you on behalf of CDO Magazine and also Informatica for joining me today and sharing your valuable insights and experiences. I know that so many listening today have learned and are taking away some incredible things that they can apply to their program. And for those of you who are listening, please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. And thank you so much for listening in. Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Susan. Thank you.